I haven't tried it in a while. I used to like Claude because they had a better PDF thing.
Yeah.
But now ChatGPT, you can do a lot of insert.
Like Claude, you can have it look at a folder, Claude Code, which is pretty cool. So for the same thing, like you can literally just be like, hey, all of my podcast transcripts, I have them all in a folder, right? So like I have like my whole podcast website, everything but the video. So all the notes, all of the like the deployment for the website and everything is all in one folder. So I could say, hey, I'm making a new episode, like make me a new template. But I also could be like, hey, XYZ mentioned this, can you tell me about it? And it'll go in and look, and it's just all on my local computer. I mean, it runs through Claude servers, but it's not like you have to copy less to ChatGPT. I still use ChatGPT all the time, though.
But that's another place where my stuff is organized. I got folders on there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really using. I use Riverside, ChatGPT, and what were we just saying?
Google.
Yeah, Google Drive. Those three. I rotate those three together.
Nice. Yeah, that was a long work topic tangent, but I like talking about that shit. But I do want to talk about the book, but I'll also introduce you. So, you know, Eddie Wilson, we've known each other since like grade school for sure. I can't remember what year of grade school. 5th grade. That's when I moved. 5th grade. 5th grade is when you moved here. Yeah. Okay. So it was 5th grade. I knew it was either 4th or 5th. Yeah. And you have a lot of different topics. What would you call it before? Your stack? Your skill stack. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff.
You know who Scott Adams is?
No.
Okay. He just passed away recently. But he's the author of Dilbert, the comic strip.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he did coin the term, or he popularized it or something, but he talks about that. And he also talks about reframing. One of his books is Reframe Your Brain, of how just a shift on the way you see something could transform how the rest of your life, you know, the way you do systems and all these things. But that's one of the things is you're looking at, all right, what's the best? You want to lean into a winner. I had this chief that he used to play blackjack. We played blackjack at the firehouse, and he used to go to AC a lot, and he would play in these high roller tables playing blackjack. And he's always saying, like, when do you bet? You know, you don't ever just bet the same thing every time. I'm not just going to bet the minimum every time. Like, if you want to win, you got to start to double up your bets. And he was telling me, like, when you start to win, you can't shy away. You have to lean into the winners. You know, keep going. And that's how I see it too. When you're developing a skill stack, you're trying to gain expertise in a few different areas. Some people can't even gain true expertise in any one area. Like, they'll spend their whole life trying to be an expert in one area. But some people, I think, have advantages of circumstance, intelligence, network. There's plenty of things, money. And they could develop a bunch of different expertises. And then you just have to figure out how to tie them together in a way that you could sustain yourself, whether that be financially or family or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. And I like that. I'm going to look into that a little bit. I've heard similar things, and you have the 10,000 hours aspect.
Yeah, that was the first one I read. The what was it, Maxwell?
I never read that book, actually.
Yeah, I read it.
But yeah, I think it is Maxwell, actually. I came up with, or I heard of that idea first through Mastery, the Robert Greene book. I don't know if you know that one.
Okay. Yeah, I know Robert Greene. I haven't read his books, but the Stoic guy, you know, the guy that wrote all the Stoicism books? What's his name?
Seneca?
No. I'm saying the guy, he's popular for writing Stoic books.
Oh, like a contemporary guy.
Yeah, contemporary guy. His mentor is Robert Greene.
Okay.
But
no, I don't know this.
I forget his name. I should know it. Let me just type it in.
We got Ryan Holiday.
Yeah, Ryan Holiday. That's the guy. He was on Rogan at least once. I was into Stoicism.
I've heard of the Daily Stoic. I've seen this podcast.
Stoic. That was how he got super popular, writing that book. And yeah, so another writer. But I'm not into Stoicism anymore. Full-blown Catholic now. But Stoicism was the bridge that got me there. It was the last step. I climbed all the way from the depths of atheism all the way back up to Catholicism. And Stoicism was like that last stepping stone back to Christianity. So I really do have an appreciation for Stoicism. There's some really great tenets in there.
I do too. I'd say I've always been just kind of I dabble in all these different things. I go through phases, and I don't think I leave any of them behind. I think it's just an accumulation of knowledge and confidence in that knowledge as I keep moving through stuff. But I've read a bunch of stoicism stuff, and it's good. I kind of got lost with meditations. People say that that book's really good.
I love it.
I haven't been in a point. I mean, I only got into stoicism a couple years ago, and I just got pulled out of it. Like, I might have went into like a Bible reading phase, honestly, around then. Or no, you know what? It was after that. I was reading some Bible stuff and watching a lot of like biblical movies for a while, and then I was just feeling the Roman vibe, so I was reading like the Marcus Aurelius stuff, and then I don't know what happened. This was like last year. I think I just moved on to probably working on my music again, because then I'll just leave it, you know.
Yeah, that stuff falls flat after you really get into Christianity. I mean, I don't know how deep you've gone into Aquinas and Augustine.
I haven't gone into any of that stuff.
If you got into that stuff, you won't go back to the Stoicism.
To the Stoicism?
They're just missing the main piece. Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
been meaning to read some, especially Augustine.
He's my
but
favorite.
I haven't. Yeah, there's a Bob Dylan song I dreamed I saw St. Augustine, which, you know, makes me kind of want to read that and see what those ideas are about. But anyway, my point was that you have a pretty dense stack of different things that you're combining, right? You got the jiu-jitsu stuff, you've got the Christianity's stuff, and the fire stuff, and of course, as you said before, you know, being a father. Am I missing anything?
That's number one. No,
that's always, of course, number one.
Oh, actually, this is a very important one that you can't forget this one.
Yeah.
Pokemon Pocket, I'm top 5,000 on rank in the world.
Yeah. I never tried Pokemon Pocket. I
started playing it like 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm addicted. I played the game. When I had the cards, I didn't just collect them. I played with them. So I knew how to play the game. Then the Game Boy game came out. I played it on Game Boy. So when this came out, it's not exactly the same rules. I can't believe we're talking about Pokemon. I'm sorry.
That's fine. No. I can talk about Pokemon.
The original game has 6 prizes, so you have to kill 6 Pokemon, and you flip over the 6 prizes, you win. This one cuts it down to 3 prizes. So some Pokemon are worth 1, some are 2, some are 3. So if you kill 1 Pokemon, it's a Mega, you get 3 points. So it's a quick, fast-paced game. Every deck's just 20 cards, you know. So every card matters. So
it's
when the new stuff come out,
cool.
It's really fun. I'm addicted to it. That's what I do. That's my toilet game. That's my game when I'm like just want to unwind and listen to a podcast and have my hands doing something. I'm playing Pokemon.
Nice. Yeah. No, I do that. I haven't played Pokemon. I'll do like a little Mario or I've been playing Hollow Knight Silk Song lately. You know that game? That's a new game. It's like a platformer game. That's on my Switch though. Yeah, Pokemon's cool though.
But anyways, yes, all those things. Yeah. Number 1 goes to fathering. Yeah, I got four daughters, so they get my first fruits. My first fruits go to them, and then I have to go to work to take care of them, so my second fruits go to my job. And I consider writing the book as combined with that. That's all one thing. So when I write the book, I'm training to be a better firefighter. I'm training to understand what I know better, and I'm being able to transmit it to the next generations and to current generations. And that's what I think the difference. You asked me, why I want to manage, right?
Oh, yeah.
What does it mean to manage? To me, is to mentor. So to have a student. I want to have a student now. I've been the student for most of it. You know, most of the time I'm the student, but to climb the ladder to black belt, you have to teach. As soon as I got my blue belt, I started helping out with the kids. I started helping out other white belts that need help. You know, being a better person in the room, not hurting anybody. And the whole time, there's always people under you and there's always people over you. So you're always being a student and being a teacher, being a student, being a teacher. And that's how you climb all the way to expert, no matter what you're doing. So I want to be an expert writer, and currently I'm not an expert. So the way that I do it, though, is the same way. I need to help other people write. So I help my daughters write. Sometimes I'll take some of their stuff and I'll say, all right, let's write a story. Let's make up a story together. And I'll help them write. but eventually I'll get good enough to help adults. Right. And then maybe I'll be an expert by then. And you just have to do it every day. How do you become a black belt? You have to train at least 3 or 4 times a week. In jiu-jitsu, your body's part of it, so you need the rest days. For writing, there's no rest days. You have to write every day, or else you're not a writer, in my opinion. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep my writing habit up while raising a family. And I still need to do exercise. I put exercise at the complete bottom of my list. I have not been exercising lately. No jiu-jitsu at all. I need to go back.
Does that scare you that you're going to get hurt?
No, I'm not. They're not going to hurt me. The room that I go in, you could get hurt if you didn't know where you were going. Like if I went into a room full of strangers and I put my black belt on, that's like going in a swim with sharks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I go into my teacher's school, I pick my rules. I say, hey, you white belt, come roll with me. You white belt, you kid. That's taking the class.
But they could be more dangerous sometimes, even though, right?
I know
if they're less. Maybe not if you're black belt, I guess.
Yeah, I know
right?
who's dangerous. Yeah. There's no danger if I want to pick the no danger, I know who's not in danger. That's one of the good things about having a black belt is I know who's dangerous to me. I can feel energy. That's part of it. You can feel somebody's energy and how they hold themselves. It's intuition. Like I don't know if I can consciously say it in real time, but that's part of it. So yeah, I'm not worried about getting hurt. I'm worried about throwing up on the mats because I'm so tired. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah. I get it though. That's a balance that's really tough, especially when you're a parent, but especially too when you start doing this deep creative work. I've been going to the gym, but it's barely. Like I feel like since I had kids, there's no results, but it's fine. Like I feel the results, but they're like I'm not getting stronger or like I'm just maintaining
I'm not even trying for that. Yeah, you're trying to not get osteoporosis.
Exactly. Like I train in my head as if like when I'm doing it, I'm like, what will I do when I'm 90? Like I'm gonna run. We don't want to do push-ups. I'm gonna want to know like my yoga, stretching, pull-ups, and I don't want to get hurt.
You're trying to be like Mick Jagger running across the stage.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta go for the Mick Jagger bod. When you're 80. But yeah, the creativity stuff really is tough because you could be up until 1 or 2 in the morning sometimes if you're on a roll, and you'll be greedy. I'll be greedy about it. Where I'm just like,
more.
Yeah, or I'm just like, this won't come again tomorrow, or like I'm editing the podcast and I'm like, there's 30 more minutes, and it took me a week to like open this up to edit, and I sat down and I edited the whole thing tonight, but I don't know if I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah. But then I don't wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. I wake up at 8 o'clock and I missed the kids, and it sucks.
Well, I think that's the creative battle that you're fighting against, the resistance. I read a bunch of writing books. Did you read that one?
The War of Art.
Yeah, the War of Art.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Me too.
Yeah, that's the resistance talking to you when it's saying to you, even right then, like you're not going to do this again, or you can't do this again. That's how I feel about this book. I wrote 20,000 words, and I got a professional assessment by an editor.
Oh, and, how did that go?
It went as well as it could, I think.
Oh, nice.
You can't expect to give him 20,000 and then be like, you got it. Hit it out of the park. Do the next 20 and get back to me. No.
No, you wouldn't want to pay for that anyway.
No. Unless it was true, but it wasn't. And he pointed out all the big he pointed out all the big spots, and he pointed out what my best writing looked like. And that was very clarifying to me. So me and my dad were talking about it this morning, and we read through the whole assessment. It's about almost 5 pages, and we talked about where we basically agreed with the whole thing. We just kind of clarified some spots and talked about where we're going to fill in, and then that's where we use that transcript, and we go into ChatGPT, and then we're going to start writing with it. That's going to be one of the things. Like, use this advice exactly, and let's start from here and keep going. But you get scared that the first 3 pages that I wrote that I thought were good, I had that feeling like this was just dumb luck. I don't know. I can't do this again. But you have to believe. You just have to say it. Like, I'm going to do it again. It's going to work. I'm going to find a way. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen in the same amount of time. Sometimes I could spit out 7 pages in a day that I like, and sometimes I could spit out 2. But as long as I show up, sometimes I won't even like any of the words, but as long as I put them down, it counts.
It counts, for sure. And it's not for nothing. You might pull that back later, That happens with me with songwriting all the time. For the listener, just in case they didn't know. So why don't you tell them a little bit, or I can intro it. So your day job is being a fireman in Newark, New Jersey, right? So
Yes.
that's what the book is about. It's about the historical lessons learned empirically, really, through that firehouse, right? Over 250 something years.
Yes. So it's not my project. It's my dad's project. It's
Okay.
called Chronicles of Newark, and we're using old newspapers to tell the story. So the one thing that in the assessment that the editor said was he wants more of my writing and less of the quotes. So I was doing like 60% me, 40% quotes, and I was doing quote me, quote me, quote me, and trying to tell the story that way. So what he's telling me is I just need to take it in and I need to tell the story. So I'm using the newspapers to tell me how it's done. Also, I'm reading from other books and stuff, but all the quotes that I'm going to pull are going to be from the newspapers just because I don't have any clout. So I can't, like, if I have this Custer book that I wanted to pull quotes from, I'd have to get their permission to use them in my book. For the
Oh, I didn't know
newspapers,
that.
yes,
That's
for the
crazy.
newspapers, it's over 100 years old. So I think
Yeah.
it's past
Public
copyright.
domain.
As long as
Yeah.
yeah, and they don't even put the authors. It's just the newspaper. So if I just give the exact day and page I used from which newspaper, I think that should be fine.
Yeah.
So I could do the whole department, but I can't do it in one book. So we picked a specific area to focus on, which is the horse-drawn era, where the fire horses pulled the engine to the fire, and this was a big switch in technology, and it was a big switch in the way people fought fires. Because the way people used to fight fires in the 1700s was buckets and ladders. They'd fill a bucket with
Got it.
water, and then they dump it onto the fire. And the
Is that
people
a
of Newark,
bucket brigade? Is
yeah,
that what they call
basically,
it?
that's
Yeah.
what it
Okay.
was, a bucket brigade.
Like Little
So,
Rascals, the movie.
yeah,
You ever?
exactly like that.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing. The whole house is on fire, and then we have to do this.
Yeah.
But the houses were spaced, and it was more like in the 1700s when Newark was first colonized. It was actually 1666 was the year, and it was a group of people from England who their city burned down. So
No
when they
way.
yeah, so well, this is
Wow.
detailed. That some people,
Okay.
it's on Wikipedia and it's on
Yeah.
the website. I'm going to use it because that's what they use it. I
Sure.
don't know how it could be a little exaggerated, but these
Yeah.
people came from England and they settled. And one of the rules, and this is a fact, is every or every household had to have a bucket and a ladder, so that would never happen again. So the city was built on fire protection.
Wow.
So we might like touch that for a second, but
Mm-hmm.
in this book we're going to really skip right to the horses and how that happened because it went from buckets to tubs. Then they would bring a tub that carried a lot more water, but guys got to drag it on wheels to the fire, and then they used hoses and they used lakes and suction. They used cisterns to get the water out, but it was a very slow process. The building's basically burnt down by the time you drag that thing all the way. Then there was a fire steam engine that pumped the water more, so you could squirt the water farther, but it was still the same problem. You have to drag this heavy thing, and imagine it's think about all these snowstorms we just had, and a fire comes in. You got to drag this thing through the snow and stuff like that. Impossible. Somebody had the bright idea. Listen, we got horses all in this. They're dragging wagons and doing all this stuff. Why don't we put them in front of the steam engine and we could get there faster? And that's what they did. So once they started getting there faster, that's when Newark had its first line of duty death, where a building collapsed on them because they're fighting it closer and earlier than they would have. That would have fell down already. It was a chimney collapse. The first.
And when was that? When did they switch over to the horses? And
It was around the 1840s.
okay.
They started. I don't know exactly. My dad would.
No, that's fine. And,
yeah, I
they're
should know
not
the
the
answer to that
first.
question.
Were they the first fire horse town, or they're
One
they're
of the
early
first.
on for sure?
Yeah,
but
it was in the Northeast that this was really
in the
happening.
Northeast. Okay.
Yeah, like Philadelphia. Like Philadelphia, I think was one of the first ones to have the steam engine. So we bought our steam engine from them, and then I think we put the horses in front. It was around the same time. I need to know the answer to that question too. That would
No,
be cool.
yeah. And you're like in the early stages of writing this, so these questions are good for you to hear.
Right.
And wait, is it true? You might not know this either, and we can fast forward to up to where you know more stuff in a second. But is it true that Benjamin Franklin invented the fire department? I always heard that, like in elementary school. Like, did that come out of Philadelphia, like the organized, like civic fire department?
Maybe. I think I've heard that too.
I've heard that too, but then you're saying Newark was 1650s and they had this like bucket brigade. So I wonder what he actually invented, you know? Maybe it was volunteers. I don't know what it was, you know. He was involved Philadelphia was somehow involved, I feel like, right?
Yeah. I have heard that before too.
Yeah. The horses are pretty cool while you're looking that up. I actually never I'm a big fan of Amelia Earhart. Actually,
yes.
You can't see it, but I have a song about her, and I also have I have one of the original Think Different Apple posters of Amelia Earhart because I just really like her. And her one plane is called Bessie the Fire Horse, and I never thought anything about it until I was reading the chapter on the fire horses, and I was like, holy shit. I just thought she named it like, you know, because it was red, just like fire horse, but like everything you wrote like clicked in my head, and I'm like, that's why she called that. She would have totally known, and back then that would have been like something people wouldn't even, it'd be like calling it a fire truck today.
Yeah, it's like saying the firemen, because they're not,
or the firemen, right?
Yeah, because the firemen saw them as equals. Basically, horses were just as important as the men. Yeah, so in 1736, Franklin helped establish the Union Fire Company in Philadelphia. This was important because it introduced several ideas that shaped later fire departments: organized volunteer membership, shared equipment and responsibilities, regular inspections of buildings and chimneys, mutual aid between companies, defined duties during fires. So he established more of the organization. It said he didn't invent the fire department, but he played a major role in organizing the first successful volunteer fire company in the American colonies.
Got it. Okay, so he really systemized.
Yeah, he helped
volunteer fire department.
I should probably add some of that. That's a good question. I'm going to talk to my dad about that. Thank you.
No, for sure.
So we did a lot of talk about like Custer and all this stuff going back into the Civil War, because the main character of our story is Chief Robert Kirstead. If you could see this picture behind me.
My dad I recognized him back there. Nice.
Yeah, my dad drew that with pencils. He's good with colored pencils.
Sweet. And your dad was a fireman in Newark as well, and your grandfather was a fireman in not in Newark, but in New York City. In the New York City. But I forget this too. I listened to that episode of your podcast where you talk with your dad.
Yeah.
And about his background in firefighting and how he came to it, etc. Did he say his uncles also were on the Newark Fire Department at some point?
My uncle.
Oh, your uncles.
Yeah,
okay.
My uncle Gerard. It's still his uncle. It's like my great uncle.
Oh, your great uncle. Okay,
yeah,
sure.
So he was on before him. Yeah, we got a lineage of firefighters.
For sure. Which makes you guys kind of, you know, pretty interested in preserving this legacy. For sure, right?
We just have, we have a deep connection with the generational aspect of firefighting, because you can't be a good fireman without understanding history. You need to know something about fire department history, and the more you know about it, I think the better off you are, because there's certain lessons that are timeless, and there's certain lessons that change with the technology, and you need to know how to identify which is which, and you need to know how to do that in real time, because there's new technology happening every day. Right now we have drones that are being added to the department, and how we utilize them is going to there's going to be new problems that happen because of that you don't expect. It's never just for the positive. There's always a negative attached to it that you have to account for. You might have fixed one problem, but then there's another problem. So you have to, it's always a problem solving job. It's a real-time strategy. StarCraft is my favorite game ever, and that's what firefighting is like. You show up and no game is the same twice. No incident is the same.
Right.
You have different personnel, there's different conditions. The building could be exactly the same, but it could present in completely different ways. So you have to just be able to adapt on your feet. And the first 5 minutes of a fire are the most important minutes. How fast you get there, and how you set up, and how you adapt to problems that are going to show up.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the stakes are so high for everyone involved, for both the firefighters and, I mean, your dad told that crazy story about him being in that closet and not being able to get out, and then his friend busting in. You know, I'm sure that happens to firemen a lot. Like, I mean, I'm sure not a lot. I'd assume it happens to every fireman at some point, right? Has anything like that happened to you ever? Have you been in any dicey situations?
Well, yeah, dicey situation. I've never been trapped in a closet. But But I've been on top of roofs. I put the ladder not far, close enough to the building, so the step across was a little further than I wanted to.
Right.
The most dangerous stuff really is the driving around. Driving on
Mm.
highways, driving when it's slick out, people just not paying attention. When there's snow on the road, it just makes things more difficult and scary. Those are the things, and that's one of the things that happened in the horse-drawn era first. Is guys start
Mm.
falling off the wagon and dying, or getting run over by the wagon, or you're crashing.
Into the train like you had
Right.
in that one section, which yeah. And okay, so this is where I wanted to loop you back too, which is like although the technology is different, you're saying the drones and stuff, like there is some real good value in this studying what happened when the horses came, right? Like, because that was a technological innovation that had all of its own problems, as you know can elaborate on, and you did in the stuff of the book that the words of the book you shared so far. But all technology comes with a cost, right? Like now you have to take care of horses, and they're getting distracted and hurt and retiring, and it's a whole thing. It
Oh yeah,
shapes the department, right?
it was, and I want to teach people that. Even firefighters on my job have no idea. Even me, before I started this project, I knew that horses pulled the fire trucks because I grew up in a house where there was a picture on the wall, and it was a horse drag. It was two horses and a fire truck pulling it. So I always knew that they did it, but I never looked into it, what it was like, or how long it even lasted. Like I know they don't do it anymore, so I never really cared about it or saw what it had to do with me. We don't do horses anymore, so whatever. But it's you see similar problems pop up because in the newspapers back then there was barely radio, there was no TV, sports weren't sports there wasn't sports stars that are getting paid millions of dollars. The heroes were the firemen. They tracked the firemen. They even tracked when they would move to different companies, when they got
Wow.
new equipment. They paid attention to them. People really cared about who the firemen were. So there's a lot more detail than there would be if I went to today's articles and tried to use them. I wouldn't get as much information. So it's really you're telling us stories about the real heroes of the day as the people saw it.
That's really neat. I didn't realize that either. I picked up a little bit on it of that when you were mentioning the horses, how people would like the kids would follow these horses. Because one of the things that I never thought about, but it makes total sense to me now, is that uh, the stringent recruiting requirements they had for these horses. Like they had to be the best horses in the town because of the nature of the stakes, which makes total sense, but I never thought about that before. And the evaluation process was fascinating to me, that they had the vet like running them through that whole gauntlet of things, and their test how they're going to test a new horse out. They don't want it like not listening while they're on their first fire call. That was cool. And I'm sure you
Yeah,
have more info on that. You just distilled it down into a little bit, but
yeah.
they were like
Actually,
celebrities for that reason.
a big piece that's missing is actually the dogs because they're who led the
Oh.
way. They're the ones who went ahead to kind of clear the way so that people heard them coming, and that they could
Mm.
have more time because there's no breaks. You're not breaking
Right,
with the
right.
horses. So yeah,
Yeah.
the dogs were a big part of it too. I didn't write about that part yet. I need to do a little bit more research into it.
Sweet.
Yeah, just how
Um,
they all work together. It was just a beautiful synchronization.
and the chief, right? That you were talking about, that you introduced as like the main character for now. I don't know if he's going to remain the main character of the
Yeah,
book,
yeah.
but he's the first character, the main one. His story is crazy too, and it ties into the horses. I was blown away by the Civil War section that you shared. That's unbelievable to me. If you want to talk a little bit about that, I feel like people would think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, before I go into it, just anybody that wants to check it out, it's Chronicles of Newark on
Sure.
Substack. That's where I am putting all the stuff that I'm working on currently. Obviously, it's all going to change, but I'm having it as my archive for it. That's why I'm not worried about losing anything. Like if Google went down, or I'm spreading out all my words in different
Yeah.
places, and I could always write them again. That's how I look at it. I could do better. This isn't even nothing. If I deleted all those 20,000 words and started from scratch, that's how I feel right now. I have to go through all that stuff, and I really starting from zero. So I'm not really bothered by it. Um, what was the original question I got?
It's the tell us a little bit about
of the Civil War.
Robert, what's his name? Kirstead.
Chief Robert
Yeah.
Kirstead. So in the newspapers, they mention these battles all in a
Hmm.
row, right? So then I look up on ChatGPT, is there a book that talks about these battles? What's the book? So I find a book and I read it, and it's about Custer and these exact battles. It's the final sequence of the Civil War and what led up to the capture, well, not capture, but what led up to uh, General Lee throwing in the towel. So the last sequence, I just get the last battle of Appomattox and how it went down and how Custer kind of ran it, and he kind of won the war for him. He put the final nail in the coffin. And in the articles that I read from the Newark newspapers, they talk about Kirstead learning how to ride a horse, and he was a scout for Custer, so he would have been in that battle, and he would have been there when General Lee signed in the surrender, and it's just so cool that that was his mentor, like one of the
Yeah.
main figures in American history. There's a reason why they mention that in the article. They're only mentioning the most important things in the article. There's only so many paragraphs that they put in a clipping. So that was, I think that was in his obituary, and that was one of the main things of his life. Is he was part of the Civil War, these battles, and he worked for Custer. Um, so that's what the book's about too, is mentorship. My dad really harps on that part of it. Is we want to teach the guys, whoever reads this book. Obviously, we want to make it for the general public to enjoy, and if they want to learn about the horses in this era, what it was like, we want it to appeal to them. But also, any firefighter reading this, we're going to go over the line of duty deaths in more detail and explain, what we learned from this, because that's what we still do to this day. Anytime there's a line of duty death, there's a deep analysis on it, and then a year later, there's like a 20-page report that comes out about it, and it goes into detail from start to finish of the incident, and then the recommendations, the problems that they saw. And it's not like Monday morning quarterback. It's so that we could be safer and try to learn from this, because we die the same way since the beginning. Buildings collapse on us. We die responding to the incident. Asphyxiation. There's a whole
The
list.
accidents on the way,
Yeah.
like you mentioned before. Yeah.
So the things don't change. So we just are trying to avoid this. Just accidents in general, just training. People die. Firefighters still die every year just training. So the way that we could train safely, we got to be smart. We got to use our brains. That's a big part of firefighting that people don't think about. They think it's just a brute force kind of job, which a big part of it is. But it's a lot. It's a brainy type of job and it's coordination. Everything's in coordination. When I take my tests to get promotions, I have to explain what this coordination looks like and why we have to work together and why there's nobody that's allowed to do whatever they want on the fire ground. If I'm in charge, I need to know exactly what you're doing. And you need to have at least a partner. You should be working at least in a pair so you guys can help each other if something goes wrong. You shouldn't be off by yourself. So that's a lot of the lessons we're going to try to teach through the story. So we're going to try to keep the story compelling, but in a way where if you're a fireman or you want to be a fireman, this will keep you safe.
I love that. And I do think that, at least from what I've read from myself, I think that there's lessons that translate outside of firefighting. I think firefighting is putting some of these ideas to the brink because the risk is so high. But like the same thing happens in software, right? Like when if I mess something up, we have blameless postmortems afterward. We analyze what went wrong. We change our strategy. We take like all of these lessons that you would put in the book are almost like really good use case examples for anybody that's working in an environment where they want to improve the system at hand, or the environment, try to gain control over the environment. Yeah, so I definitely will read it as a non-fireman.
I appreciate that.
It really has sucked me in, like especially the idea of you introduced I keep forgetting his last name, Robert
Kirstead.
Kirstead. I'll remember it by the end of the book.
Call him Daredevil Bob. That was his nickname.
Daredevil Bob, for sure.
Yeah.
So Daredevil Bob, right? Like you introduce him in the first Chronicles blog post, second one actually, after the preface, right? But you introduce him, you kind of explain that he's like, riding on the horse, like, he's always, I think you said he always is, like, he tells people where he is at all times so that they'll be able to find him, so you get an idea for this guy and you're like, wow, he's hardcore, right?
Yeah.
And then you show him like riding around, zooming through fires with complete disregard for, how fast he's going just to get there, riding like a wild man, but at the same time, he's a really good horse rider or whatever. I don't know if he was actually riding on the horse at that point when he's going to the fire call or not. Or no, you said he had a driver, right?
Yeah, he would be in a carriage.
He'd be in a carriage, but they'd be running it fast. But then you get into the next section. I think it was the one after this because you talked about his accident, which we could go back to. But the third one or the fourth one where you're talking about this Civil War stuff, then you're like, oh shit. Actually, this guy was in the cavalry. I didn't even realize Custer was like in the cavalry. I guess I just forgot. I knew at some point, but
I never knew anything about him before I started.
Yeah, I knew like Custer's Last Stand by Led Zeppelin. That's like they talked about it in school, but like I don't remember too much about it. Sometimes I do, but with him, I didn't remember too much. But I was like, oh yeah, so they're the cavalry, and the cavalry won the Civil War. Like what? Why? And then you're like, oh, they were like riding their horses in front of the infantry and like literally going around them and trapping them. I don't know if you caught this piece or not. I was reading a little bit about that, but that 3rd New Jersey Cavalry, which I even forget is Daredevil Bob was in, right? So that was the cavalry he was in. They were these like hussars. Did you see that thing? I didn't know what that was.
No, what is
Hussar is like a Hungarian cavalry where they wear like a fez hat and like they have like a saber and it's like a fancy pants thing. And I went on ChatGPT and I was like, they said there were only 2 hussars in the Civil War in the in the North on the Union side, and this was one of the 2. And I was like, well, what's the point? And they were like, well, traditionally, those guys were known for being like the fastest lightweight infantry that would like go and eclipse people while they were retreating and like do scout work and all this stuff. But by the time the Civil War happened, all the cavalry was the same. And they just got made fun of. It was just like a recruitment thing. So they called them the butterflies, apparently, the New Jersey 3rd Cavalry or whatever. Yeah, 3rd New Jersey Cavalry. But I was like, but wait a minute, ChatGPT. Because isn't that exactly what they did? And it's actually very poetic. And it was like, yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. And I gave it like a bunch of articles and stuff. And I was like, can you tell me that they weren't behaving exactly like the traditional like Hungarian hussars? Like, didn't Custer actually employ them in that way? So literally, like, they did the hussar thing and ended the war, even though that wasn't their training. They were all trained the same.
The thing I did read was that I think I put this in the pages where they wore red bandanas. So
yeah, that too. Yeah. Yep. I think that was all of. I saw that in there, and then I saw it on Wikipedia. So all of them, all of Custer's dudes, whatever under his commands, would wear those so you could like see them in battle. That was genius. I thought it was funny too because they were from the North and they're wearing the red bandanas, But yeah, like so then you're getting this frame and you're like, okay, so this dude was like in a cavalry ending the Civil War. Now he's back at home. I mean, he's got PTSD and all that stuff. Like that's what's going on there a little bit, right? But like he's a perfect person to be running. And he didn't do that right away, right? Like, I think he started...
No, so what happened was, he got back and he didn't join the fire department right away. He tried to be a carpenter first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a few years there that we don't really have anything about him. The only thing we know about him is in the articles. The Custer book that I read, he's not mentioned in there. But we know that he's in the 3rd Cavalry, so we just tell it like he's in there. But we don't know anything about his early life, really, except for what they said about small snippets in his obituary. So we kind of pick up right where he joins the fire department, and he pretty much joins, and they make him ride the horses. He was one of the first drivers of the
fire truck or whatever.
Yeah, of the fire truck, in the new way that they're doing it because they already know he's great on the horse. So he spent all those years. He probably, I think, 13 years as a driver, and then they just made him from driver right to the chief of the department, and it was all pretty much based on competence and. All the guys loved him. He was like the first chief where it was unanimous that the guys liked him and he was competent. It wasn't a political move because there's some articles, the guys before him, or 2 guys before him, it was just a political move and there's nothing really happening. And he was measuring the success on the department based on how many men they have, hoses, I think fire hydrants, horses, just equipment in general. His goal was to have more before he retired, and he did that. I mean, by the numbers, he was one of the best chiefs ever. In the newspapers themselves, they say he was the best chief ever. Obviously, they didn't know about the chiefs in the next 100 years.
Sure.
But I don't know. I haven't done the full research, but he's definitely one of the best, and he's the guy that we want as our mentor from the grave. Like, he doesn't even need to be alive, and we're learning things from him, and he's taking us to places that we didn't even know existed. My dad found Kirstead's name by accident because he was looking for one of the guys that died in the line of duty, and then he looked for another guy, and he just kept mentioning this chief over and over again. So that's why we're really following him, because he's the most mentioned person in this time frame that we're in.
No, you guys stumbled upon like a really good piece of story there too. Given the intersection of all of that. But then again, also, I'm sure there's plenty of faces that, people that came back from World War II and had their own experiences there. It doesn't always have to be a veteran, but I think a lot of times in these emergency services stuff, it is.
Well, if you want to tie this, let's tie this back into Ford versus Ferrari. All right.
For sure. Yeah.
That movie was great, and at the end of the movie, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, the driver dies testing out a new car, and they changed the safety standards after that. For how they test cars. So his death wasn't in vain. It could be anywhere. It could be any kind of thing. You could learn from the death of another person. They don't have to die in vain, and they could teach you things. The thing is, Kirstead didn't die in the line of duty. He made it to old age, and they put more stuff about him. I still have to write about it. He went on like a trip across the country in a car, because they just had cars then, and nobody was really doing that. And he went on and lived a whole nother life for another 20 years.
Wow. Are you gonna put in any other characters besides him?
Oh yeah. That was one of the main critiques of the assessment. Is I got it with more characters. So there's
cool.
Chief McDermott. There's Chief Moore.
Are there any villain chiefs that you've uncovered that you're gonna put in there?
No villain chiefs. The villains in this story would really be the commissioners and the politics of it, and how they tried to undermine the veterinarian, and how they undermined McDermott. Yeah, they were undermined politically. That never happens now, right?
No. But
so
there
yeah,
is, that. So that was in 1880 something, right? When he was the chief.
He started in the 1880s and he finished 1908. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a pretty pivotal era besides just the innovation of the horse. I'd assume that fires might have happened. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if you uncovered this or not either. Did electricity and
it was the industrial age. It was the industrial
age.
It was directly tied to the industrial age. I do need to go into more detail about that. I thought in the 20,000 I mentioned a little bit of it, but it might be in the pages I didn't put out yet. Yeah, it's directly tied to that. The buildings got bigger. They were built faster. They were built closer together. The cities were, they were just condensing as much as they could. They were really all the coal, all the energy. It was just allowing for a population boom.
And Newark was booming from industrial stuff too, right?
Newark was huge. Newark was rivaling Philadelphia and New York City. They were right there with them. Not in population, Newark, to the city, but the industrial, the stuff that they were making.
What was the company? Do you remember? I don't know my Newark history enough. I only know from what I read at the Broad Street station while I'm waiting for trains. But there's all those plaques. There was one huge company that they say this was all of this land that the light touches was.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I have to buy a Newark history book. There's one that I looked up. I
know that Patterson was Smith and Wesson. Or one of the gun companies. It could have been Colt. I forget which one, but one of them. Yeah, but it was something like that, where it was just a huge industrial thing. Yeah. Actually, we should. Are you looking up Newark?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna look up the Smith and Wesson to see if that was right about that. But yeah, Newark was. Because it's right on the river, and for you all, even that doesn't change with time. It's really interesting in terms of fire department work, I'm sure, because you have all of the stuff that's coming through, like the construction and anything that's going into like whatever. What is that river there? Is that the Raritan River or something?
Passaic.
The Passaic River? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so whatever has to go through the Passaic River is coming through. There's all of those like docks and stuff over there. The port.
Yeah,
You
the
got
port.
the airport. You got so much stuff that like needs or that could go wrong. Just like
This is
New
the-
York or any other city. But
Yeah, I wrote about this a little bit somewhere, but this is it. Newark's most famous. All right, the city became the national center for tanneries, boot and shoe manufacturing, harness and saddlery leather, industrial leather products.
the leather, for sure. I remember that. That's what it was. Yeah, and that makes sense too because over in like Union or whatever was I think it was Union. Where's Joey Diaz from? Do you know?
Yeah, he was from
Un-
North Bergen.
North Bergen, Union. They were the textile stuff, like the actual sewing. So it makes sense that just right down the river there would be the tannery leather stuff. But yeah, I'm sure even now you all probably have a lot going on from like a
They
fire
have everything. Yeah, they have
perspective.
everything.
You got to have the helicopters. You got to have the boats. You got to have
Oh
everything.
no,
Yeah,
I was talking about the dangers. There's dangerous types of chemical companies down
for
there.
sure.
They
Yeah,
have port, they have the port.
hazmat. Okay, yeah.
High-rise buildings. There's everything. Churches, a million churches,
Hmm.
and then there's just the residential areas with the houses really close together.
Yeah. And do you guys ever get like so on the one with your dad, and on your own podcast, you interviewed your grandfather's friend who was
Oh,
your
Ralph.
yeah, they both were your grandfather and him were working on 9/11 site, and your dad went in on 9/11, right? Was
Yeah,
it
I have a whole story my dad did on 9/11. I didn't put it out yet, but he tells
cool?
how his day went when it
Wow,
happened.
I'd love to
He was
hear
doing
that.
at work. Yeah, it was. I'll just send it to you. I'm not sure I'm gonna put it out yet. One day.
Okay, yeah, send it
I'll,
to me on the side. I'd love
sorry
to
for the
hear it.
listener, but it's not
Yeah.
safe for work yet.
There's a good one. It doesn't matter how you feel about this person or not, but there's a really good Theo Vaughn podcast that he did recently with a 9/11 firefighter, like very recently, which
I listened
liked.
to. I didn't really listen to. I saw it and I put on for like a second.
No,
I
it
don't
was
know.
pretty good. I liked it.
I don't think
I
it's
mean,
interesting to me
I'm
because
not a firefighter though.
I'm saying I met that guy before. Not that guy exactly, but that type
Yeah.
of guy. I don't know. I wasn't interested in Theo Vaughn's type of questions towards it. I
I
don't know why.
I respect that, and I'm also not a firefighter, so I don't hear these stories that often. So it perked
I
my
think I got
interest.
better ones. I think my dad's got better ones. I
Yeah.
see him as a competition.
Well, that's why I want to hear your dad's. Yeah, you should put it out eventually for sure. But my question was, do you guys ever get called out of Newark? Like,
Yeah.
does that happen often?
Mutual aid. Well, it depends what type of company you're on. Yeah, if there's a hazmat call, if there's a urban search and rescue, I was part of that unit. And if there's a major collapse in the surrounding area in New Jersey, I think just North Jersey, then we'll go out of town, even out of county to go help out. But then if there's a big fire in the surrounding cities, Irvington, East Orange, Belleville, and they need extra manpower or they need area coverage, we'll do that for them. And they'll do it for us too. Sometimes, there's a fire that takes the whole city. And now we need at least some other cities to help us supplement while we're at the fire.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'd assume you guys are one of the bigger.
Us, Jersey
Cities.
City. Yeah, us,
Oh,
Jersey
Jersey
City.
City's pretty close too, right? Is Jersey City? Jersey City has a bigger fire.
They might now.
Department?
I think they passed us. I don't want to talk about it. We should be number one.
Yeah, I mean you're the OGs, right?
Right.
The OG number one. Cool. Yeah, and there's also the history of the Newark fires back in the '60s too, right? That
Oh yeah, we have the full. Yeah, we're just picked.
like
We can't do it all, so we just picked a very specific spot.
no. For this book you did, but there's
Yeah.
just so much.
Oh,
There's so much
much.
knowledge that's getting pulled from, and this is just. It's not the beginning of it, but it's a pretty good, in media res place to start for that book.
Yeah, we
That's
call
cool.
it Chronicles of Newark because we see it as more than one book. We're gonna do
Cool.
many books. We're gonna try to tell as much of the stories we can. So
Love it.
I'm trying to lock in and trying to enjoy it now. If I can't enjoy it at the beginning, it's gonna be tough. And it took my dad a long time to convince me to finally do this. I've been kicking and screaming. I don't want to be a writer. I wanted to pay a ghostwriter. He told
Yeah,
me the
yeah.
price. I said, all right, I guess I'll do it myself.
Um, no, you got to do it. And you mentioned this before, and I dropped the thought. Your dad drew that, painted it.
Yeah, he drew that one.
And he's done a bunch of art, right? So he's an artist.
He's a fine artist. His skill stack, I don't have that one. He went to art school in the 90s, and he trained under this guy, Peter Karras, and his mentor was Norman Rockwell.
No way.
Yeah. So he was learning from the best. That's his lineage is good. And I think my jiu-jitsu lineage is great too. I go up to Renzo Gracie. That's my guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yeah.
So that's my jiu-jitsu granddaddy. Hey, I can interview him if I wanted to. I was gonna with my friend Dave. I was gonna wait till my friend Dave needs 5 more years to retire. And then we're gonna be back at it doing jiu-jitsu stuff. I want to talk to Renzo with him. It'll be a fun conversation.
Yeah, man. That would be really cool. I don't know too much about jiu-jitsu, but I know of the Gracies for sure.
That's the guys that popularized it.
Yeah. Eventually, maybe in a year or two, I'll try it. I'm really afraid of getting injured, though.
Sure.
Honestly.
Sure. It's a tough thing to jump into.
Not like even fear of getting injured, because I used to skateboard and stuff. I mean, I talked about how I'm squeamish, but honestly, I'm not squeamish on the battlefield. Like it's more like in a classroom. Like if I fall and, if my bone popped out or something, that would be like a little bit different. But, generally,
yeah.
I'm okay. Unless I get in my own head. Like I've cut myself at home before and been like, shit, you gotta, go outside and tell somebody you cut your finger. What if you pass out in here and die?
Oh,
but, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so blood. That's like Joey Diaz too. You just mentioned
Joey
him.
Diaz has the same shit as me.
Blood phobia. Yep.
Yeah, and Jordan Jensen actually as well.
Did you read Joey Diaz's book? I read it.
Tremendous. Yeah, I love Joey Diaz. I listen to his podcast a lot. That's like my number one. He's Jersey,
Yeah, I'm off his. I haven't listened to him in a long time. I've heard. I spent a lot of hours. I've listened to at least 1,000 hours of Joey Diaz. So I think I've had my fill for now. But I went to his show last year. I went to his show at the dojo. Great.
Did you? I haven't been to the dojo yet.
Great. You gotta go.
I gotta go.
Great room.
Yeah. You think I could sit? I told you I fainted at a stand-up. For the people that don't know, I've talked about this before, but I am very squeamish with blood and things like that. It has a name. I don't remember the name, but I'm more of the Joey Diaz camp where I don't like really study it. Jordan Jensen talks about the actual whatever it's called. Her dad had a heart attack and fainted. He had it too.
Really?
He was a contractor. He was like a cowboy contractor person, and he had a heart attack and fainted while he had it. But yeah, the dojo, I need to be able to I need to be by the exit. I got to see if I can go there.
It's a tight, compact room, for sure. I sat up front, and Rich Voss was on stage, and he was roasting me.
Really?
I don't think he would have liked that.
No.
I didn't like it.
I've been roasted once. I went to see, it was at the one in the Palisades Mall. Do you ever go to that comedy club
never
up
been,
there?
never been there.
And we saw Angela Johnson. I don't know if you know her, but she was popular like 15 years ago, and she tried to roast me twice. I think she got me. I didn't know what a cholo was, and she asked me, and I was like, I don't really know. No, I don't know. And she was like, "You wouldn't. You're white." I'm like, "All right, you got me." But she did ask me and my wife. She was like, "How long have you been with him?" And my wife was like, 13 years, and she's like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah, it wasn't.
But yeah, it's rough. We were right in the front too, and yeah. But I've wanted to go to the dojo. They have some good people there. I'm definitely going to check it out. And I know Joey pops in there. That's why I like listening to the New Testament. I've heard most of his stories too, and the guests aren't always the most interesting, but sometimes I'm surprised.
I just have so much to listen to. I can't. That one doesn't fit anymore. It used to fit.
For sure. No, I get it. It fits when it fits. I didn't listen for a while. I mean, even before, like the Old Testament, whatever you're going to call it, the original, because he calls it the New Testament. He calls it Church of What's Happening Now. It's the New Testament, motherfuckers.
I listened to a couple of it.
Yeah. The old ones I listened to a lot, but I fell off of it after a while because it gets repetitive. But yeah, the new ones kept me going a little bit. But he also like he's been getting sick a lot, which is sad.
He's getting old, and he doesn't take. I mean, he's trying, but he's lived a hard life.
He
Rough.
has. Yeah, I mean, even though he's gentle now, like I mean, he's like, I was in the hospital, I took an edible, dog. They come in and they have the they have the whatever the blood pressure collar on me, and they're like, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's like, I'm not telling him shit, but I'm on 10,000 milligrams of the ninja stars. I'm like, dude, you got to tell them that shit. You're in the hospital, but yeah. I forget how we started talking about him. Oh, the fainting, and
The
then
blood,
I said,
yeah.
yeah. But then there was something before that. I can get injured. We were talking about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah. So with the blood, whatever. In the battle, I'm not as worried. But getting hurt, it's just so hard to start working out again. I don't have like recovering from an injury in me. I'll do it, but like even my sister does like marathon level running, and she's like gets injured and is like icing herself up and like rehabbing and once that happens, I'm not gonna be.
Yeah. The old me would be like, nah, just do it. But the new me is like, yeah, you don't need to.
No,
You don't need that.
no,
You don't need a sweaty guy belly in your face.
yeah, no, not right now.
I don't want it either. I haven't even trained this year
Yeah.
yet. I have to go back though. I miss
When our
my
daughters are a little older, you'll want it. Have you taught
Yeah.
them?
I've taken them classes. I just haven't been consistent with them. I'm still waiting for them to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
It's that. I mean, there's no rush. I
right.
just need them to be a blue belt. So if I can get them to focus for like 2 years straight, they'll be good enough. I don't
Yeah.
need them to be world champions.
That makes sense, and I want my kids to do that too. I just want them
It's
to be
really-
able to like defend themselves against like the lowest levels, you know.
But it's not even about even touching or getting into fights. It's being aware. It's an awareness of danger, physical danger. You could sense. It's hard to tell. It's hard. I don't know if everybody can do this, but when I'm rolling with somebody, I'm so good now that I know when they're thinking about touching something before they even touch it or move anything, or even they don't even look at it. I could just tell they're about to touch my foot. I know it, and then they do it, and then I'm already ready for it. That's something that you learn in martial arts. The better you get at it, you don't have to be at that level where you can notice where they're going to touch, but you can know when somebody wants to touch you. And then
Right.
it's
Yeah,
like an
yeah.
energy. And it's
I
like,
get
no,
it. It's like when
you
you're
get away
playing
from it.
music with someone, you start to be able to play with them, right? Like, so once you play with a few people, you kind of get a vibe for how that person is. It's just in the physical domain, right? I get what you mean. You can't explain it, but you could just tell how that person's going to be.
I went to Florida. I had this incident with my cousin. We went to pick up food for dinner.
Mhm.
We both just go. He let me drive his Tesla. Teslas are cool, especially in Florida on flat ground. They're awesome.
Yeah.
He did the self-driving. It's scary, but I trusted it. So we get to the place, and there's this guy standing outside his car. Oh, no, he wasn't even standing outside his car. He pulled down his window, and he's telling me to pull down my window. And he says, "Hey, I'm a federal agent. Stay right there. I know what you're doing." That kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I get out of the car, I close the door. He gets out of his car, and he starts talking. Same thing, like being a federal agent. And I could just tell this guy is not, this isn't right, and this doesn't feel right. I'm just going to ignore him and walk away. So I go inside, and I get the food. And as I'm walking out, my cousin gets out of the car because that guy starts walking towards him in the car, and he's doing the same thing. He's like pretending like he's going to talk to somebody, like somebody's coming in to arrest us because we're being bad. And I just say, "Hey, yo, get in the car. We're leaving right now. Just ignore him. He doesn't exist right now." And
Yeah.
go to, and we just got out of there. No big deal. But if you engage that guy or you show fears to that guy, they're going to take advantage of you. They could hurt you. If you, and that's just something that I sense. I didn't even need, like, I could just tell he was, this isn't the person you deal with. Like, when people are acting crazy, you just can't even give in to their frame. We want to talk about reframing. My frame, where there was, this guy doesn't exist. He doesn't exist anymore. He's not entering my world. And then I just move on because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for weakness. That's what these people look for. And if you don't train, you might show that weakness. You might not be prepared for that. You might give into, like, is this guy, like, maybe I need to help? I don't know. No. This guy is not trustworthy. Don't give him attention. And sometimes if you don't have the confidence to do that, those people can take advantage of you. And they're out there taking advantage of others. So that's why I want to teach my daughters how to get away from these people, how to sense them and get away from them. Because
Hell
they
yeah.
exist out in the world.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've had similar. Nothing that's pretty crazy.
I wasn't even expecting it. It's a
Yeah.
nice neighborhood. I don't know. Every time I visit there, I never had that kind of interaction before. And that's what
Yeah.
scared me about it. It's like it was so close to home, a couple minutes away
Right.
from where he
Yeah.
lived. It shouldn't be here. And he actually called the restaurant after that. He's like, "Hey, you got a guy out there. He's harassing." Because if they call, their business. The cops might actually come. If I call, they probably won't show up.
Right. Right. And it's also I've called the cops on stuff like that before, and then it's a whole hassle that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
They want to know all your information, and yeah.
Well, I'm used to dealing with cops. I go to a lot of car
True.
accidents, and the cops are the ones that are really in charge of that. At the end of the day, I just show up to see if anybody's trapped, and I protect the scene. If it's in a high traffic, if it's on the highway, I have to use the truck to kind of protect until
Hmm.
the cops get there. But they're all, so I interact with them a lot, and I see what they have to deal with. I would never want to be a cop. I would never want to be an EMT. Those guys' job is hard. It's a hard job.
Mm.
Do that every day. I don't know how I
Hmm.
would be able to enjoy it. It'd be tough. I enjoy being a fireman. I don't know how I could enjoy doing those things. God bless those people
I
that do it.
agree. I mean, totally. God bless them. I couldn't do either. Like, I mean, but I get it. I think being a fireman is a different kind of beast, right? You're dealing a little more with nature
It's a
than
cousin to that though, because I
it's.
go to
Yeah.
sometimes I have to go to heart attacks. People have heart attacks and show up
Mm.
before EMS shows up, and I have to do the initial care until they get there and they take over. Same kind of thing. So we're kind of a bridge to EMS, a bridge to the police. So we're in the world with them. We're all together. So I
Hmm.
see some of what they see, but they see a lot more of the stuff that I don't want to see. I like to
Yeah.
see flames, and I like to see flames go out. I don't like to see people hurt at all. But that's the nature of the business.
Right. Well, and do you ever? Are the people ever scary themselves? Because
The
that's
people,
also the tricky thing. Like the
sure,
actual people there on the fire scene, do you have to deal with
any
like
scene. Yeah, sometimes at any scene you have to deal with it. Outside the
yeah,
firehouse, you have to deal with it. Sometimes
yeah.
them coming up to you, and they're not in the right minds. Sometimes.
They're not in their right minds, and then there's also people that are they're in shock and their shit's burning or
Sure,
whatever
sure.
it is.
People freak out. Yeah, that's one of the things they teach you about. Like if I was climbing a ladder and there's somebody out hanging out the window, you have to talk to them and try to calm them down. Like if they freak out, they could take you out too. It's like if you're a lifeguard
Mm.
trying to save somebody, you have to protect yourself first. That fireman's the
Hmm.
same thing. My life takes precedent over your life.
For
You were
sure.
already in
Yeah.
danger, so now you're putting me in danger too. We could both go. That's not going to help.
Yeah.
So if they're going to be crazy, then I'm going to get out of the way, and they're going to jump out the window. I'm not going to try to catch them,
Yeah.
because then we're both going to go.
You're both gonna go, and it's still just your job, right? Like you still got to go home to your family, and that's part of it too, right? Like you're there providing a service. The service is rescuing, but you're not there incidentally, right? Like you're entering voluntarily. So I imagine that it's like a stewardess on a plane, right?
Yeah, it's
You're not going to get into in the case of a crash or whatever, right? Like you're entering into a dangerous situation as your job.
yeah, I don't see it as a job though. I think that's the thing that we're trying to teach in this book. It's not
Okay. Wait, open that up because I noticed that hesitation.
there are firemen that think, hey, this is just a job. I come here when I'm here, and I
Yeah.
do what I try not to get in trouble. I collect my paycheck and I go home. If I never see a fire again, I don't like. I go out of my way not to see fires, and if there is a fire, I'll do just enough. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of mentality gets people killed.
Mm.
So I don't have that mentality. I'm trying to convince people that you can't. If you want to be a good fireman, then you can't have that. Chief
What's the
Kirstead didn't.
mentality?
The mentality is you're serving as a team. You serve the department. We need to do this together. There is no superheroes that's going to save the day. Even Chief Kirstead's not saving the day. He needs guys around to help. It's a team
Mm-hmm.
effort. So he was never trying to take attention on himself, and I think we need to carry that on. And I might die doing what I do, but if I'm doing my job right, I'm not going to let somebody jump on me. That's not doing my job. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go up there and try to get them down. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
do everything I can. If they're hanging out and I can see them breathing, I'm going to go get them. If the whole building's on fire and somebody said that they're in the basement and the whole building's going to collapse, I can't get them. It's a risk versus reward, risk versus gains analysis. So yeah, you have to go into that. But also, there's a reason why I get to do this. I get to paid to do this. These guys used to just volunteer. There was no paid. Right now we're paid to do it, and there's no horses. It's a lot easier than it used to be. We should be grateful that it's not as hard. But We signed up to serve, so full effort, 24/7. I'm a fireman, technically. That's what we signed up for. So I want to act like it. We are professionals. I'm a professional firefighter, so professional is a big part of it. That's what I'm reading about my fire chief's handbook, is how to be professional and the importance of professionalism. So yeah, a lot of guys just want to be cowboys. Yeah, they want to be a cowboy. Some people just want to do it for the adrenaline rush. Not even like it's a job. They don't. It's not even the money or whatever. It's just I get to go in there and break stuff, and it is fun. But that's not. It's more than that too. You can have fun doing that, but the root of it is service to the community. That's the root of it. I'm a public servant. So what does it mean to serve well? That's what I'm trying to write about, and by showing who did well in the past by the public and the firemen themselves, who they thought that was the best.
That makes total sense. And I think what I was meaning more was like, if it's your mom flipping out and it's a different situation.
I'm still not letting her jump on me either. I'm
okay,
say,
you
hey,
know what? That's holding your frame. That's why you're a fireman and I'm not, right? I get
you're not
that.
jumping on me.
Yeah. Because you still have to calm them down because it's still putting you in risk, right? Yeah, that's that professional level. And I get that, yeah. And I could see how people could be attracted to showing up just for the fun part. And
Well, because it doesn't come around as much as it used to.
Yeah.
Kirstead's day, they were coming around. There's way more fires.
I noticed that. They said there could even be 18 fires in a day or something. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I don't know if it's still the case like that. It could be in Newark.
No,
but I just assume it's not. Yeah.
No.
What about those fires last year? Did you guys have to do anything with the forest fires? Did they have?
No, we didn't have any. Nothing. We got a couple parks, but nothing threatening people.
Mm.
But it did. Yeah, that was crazy. All that stuff going. Forest fires are. I don't do forest fires, but those are scary. Changes with the wind.
Yeah, they're super scary. I mean,
like the California fires that was going on, all the wildfire stuff. Yeah, I was paying attention to that and reading their explanations. Very interesting.
It is, and it got a little scary last year for me, at least. Just watching that shit because I'm like, okay, now it's now it's real. Like, when is it gonna frickin' rain here? It's not just about my garden anymore.
Yeah. Sometimes nature happens. You got to be prepared.
For sure. Hang on, let me check my notes. I got a few things I want to tell you now that we're at a little lull. Okay, couple things. One is, have you ever heard of Nassim Taleb? Do you know him?
Talib.
Talib.
Who is
he
it?
wrote a book called The Black Swan a while ago. 2010, but he has a really good book called Anti-Fragile. You should look into that.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. I never read it.
You should read it. I feel like this book and all these examples that you're giving from the fire department are very in line with like the examples he gives from like he'll talk about like the medical field, he talks about science and technology, academia, he goes politics, he goes through all these different things, but you'll like the book. It's a lot, there's a lot to it, more than I can get into right now, but you should look into it because I think your ideas would fold into it. The basic premise, each chapter is a little bit different and it gives a different idea for stuff. Like one of them, okay, so the one that really applies to this book, I actually have a menu from the place in New York called Leo Lindy's. It was a restaurant that closed down, and all the comedians would go there after their sets. I think it was either comedians or Broadway people or something, but they would all go there after their shows and like eat and kind of have like a post-mortem of their shows in the night. And they realized that if they were going to bet on which plays would stay on Broadway the longest, it would obviously be the ones that already have been on there the longest. Like if you're going to predict into the future how long, let's say, I don't know, The Lion King will be playing. Like The Lion King will be on Broadway probably in 20 years since it's already been on Broadway for 20 years. But if there's one that just came out 5 years ago, you cannot be as confident that it'll be out 5 years from now. So if you use that, so the one way he says that is I always try to write using examples that would work 100 years ago. So I write to people 100 years ago, even though I'll talk about new technology and stuff, but I try to frame it in a way that they would understand so that in 100 years from now, people will understand what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
writing.
kind of why I like stoicism. It's such an old idea,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I like Christianity. I mean, you
Right.
go into Catholicism, it doesn't get deeper than that.
For sure. And that's why I was saying you should look into his stuff. You'll really dig it. He talks about the Stoics a lot in there too. Trying to remember what he has this one character he calls Nero something, who's like a Stoic kind of guy, but he gets into finance. He jumps all over the place, but the core tenet of the book, the Lindy's, is one chapter which I really resonate with because I use that in my thinking, my ideas, like you said too, in what I read. I usually am trying to pick that, but also in my songwriting. So I'll try to write songs that translate back 100 years from now so that they'll also work in the future. And you're doing that with your book. That's why I'm bringing that up. These lessons like are very Lindy proof, right? Because you're talking about stuff that was happening 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, and hoping that those stories will remain for another 100 years to still capture it. The other thing he talks about in his book that's pretty cool is the idea of anti-fragility and how there's no concept of it in the English language. Sort of how he uses the example of like the Odyssey and the Iliad, how they always said the wine dark sea, and he's like, the reason was they didn't actually discern, like they didn't have a word for blue back then. They just didn't like need it. Mm-hmm. So they're calling it wine dark not because they're being poetic, but they just like didn't have a way to describe the color of the ocean. And we didn't have a word to describe anti-fragility. So he says, if I'm going to send you a box from here to whatever, from here to London, and I'm going to write fragile on it, the person that's shipping it, they're going to know, it'll say fragile, do not shake. What's the opposite of that? And he'll usually say, the person would say, like, it's robust, right? It's something that won't break when it doesn't shake. And he says, actually, that's not true. It's something that gets stronger when you shake it. It's something that would say anti-fragile, shake. And the book, like, a lot of the thread through that is talking about different pieces of reality that have an element of that.
I tell you why I don't want to read that book, and it's no offense to you.
No, I don't care.
I think I have that in my own way. I want to say it in my own way. I don't want to read his way. I have a way to say that. It's called dependable. We want to be dependable. And this is the thing that I've been finding lately that I've really been able to articulate, and I do need to start writing about this, is people talk about, I want to be self-sufficient. You know, your parent, even my mom said, I want you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. You be self-sufficient. And that is not what we're trying to be. Independent, that's not what we're trying to be. We should be aiming to be dependable. And to be dependable is to also be dependent. You need to be dependent on somebody else and be able to reciprocate, like me and my wife, you and your wife. I need to be able to depend on you, but also I need to be dependable for you. So the more dependable I am, the sturdier I am, and you can't become dependable without the resistance, without leaving your comfort zone. And it's got nothing to do with independence. It's a family. Every person is born into a family. You're not born as an individual. So if you're born into the family, your job is to become dependable. That's what a man is. A man is dependable. So that's what you should be growing towards, not independence, not being able to say, I could pay my own bills and I have my own house, me, my. No, I'm there when you need me. You can count on me.
For sure.
Anything, especially when push comes to shove. That's what I am. That's what a fireman is. You need me at your worst moment. I'm the last. I know what it's like to be the last line of defense. And as a father, you know what it's like to be. Nobody's coming to help your kid. Mm-hmm. You're the last line. Like if you're trying to help them, you try to push and do whatever you can. Doctors and such. It's you, but it isn't you though. Who is it? It's Jesus. That's what it comes down to. So if you can't depend on Jesus, you won't be dependable. In a true sense, in the truest sense, you can't truly be dependable unless you're able to depend on Jesus. And I think that's what I get out of the Bible, and that's the word that I really love. I love the word dependable. I hate the word deserve. I was talking about this with my dad today. If you say who deserves or why do I deserve or anything with deserve, it's just negative. It's going to put you in a negative headspace that leads you away from God and leads you towards self. So you should be more focused on words like dependable.
I kind of like that and see a lot of value in it. I think that there is an element of dependability in anti-fragility.
He's just naming it differently. Yeah,
but he's talking about something more, less in turn. Well, what do you mean by depending on Jesus? I think that matters, right? Like,
well, is he talking about Jesus in his book?
A little bit. He's definitely Christian. It's not a Christian book, though, if that makes sense. He talks about the anti-fragility of Christianity, for sure. And he's
not. It's not from a Christian perspective.
No, it is, but I don't think it's not like a theological book.
Not a theological.
You know? He's he's from, where is he from? I usually know where it is. I forget. It's from, because he's pretty religious. He talks about, he's Greek Orthodox though.
Okay.
But he talks about, he's from, damn it, where is that place? I've said it before. Lebanon. He's from Lebanon.
Sure.
Yeah, he's Lebanese. So he talks about like the history of Lebanon being anti-fragile, whatever the city he's from, and there is an element of that, but that's why I'm asking, because I think he separates the one thing that he separates from this like dependability thing versus an anti-fragility is he talks about anti-fragility more being like a force of nature. Sure, it could be a force of God as well, right? Or like the true nature of reality is that natural things tend to be anti-fragile and human-made things tend to be fragile, right? So he would say things like, even with like certain medical procedures, like you could overdo it and end up introducing things that are iatrogenic to what you do yourself, right? Like he's talking more about systems than philosophy, but he does talk about the Stoics as well and stuff. But I hear what you're saying. Like, so I think dependability does fall into that realm, but I do want to, I want to like unpack like what is the what do you lean on in religion? In Jesus, Jesus, what are you leaning on for? I mean, I do too. Like, I just want you to express it. Like, are you leaning on His word? Are you leaning on His nature? Are you leaning on? And it could be all of it too. Are you leaning on where He's bringing you as a person, just following in His footsteps, or where it's just leading you in faith, like the faith of depending on things working out?
Let's say, okay, so when I'm talking about independence, that means I'm depending on me, self.
Yeah.
I am responsible for how I feel, how I think, what I do, how I respond to things. I am in charge of it. And obviously in Stoicism, you have to let go of things you can't control. So then you're just focused on, all right, what can I control? And you really focus on that. But what about the stuff you can't control? Just don't let it affect you, that kind of stuff, you know?
Right.
But we're called to serve. We're called to serve God, and we're called to serve neighbor. Right? So that kind of goes against the Stoicism. That takes it to the next level. Right? What does it mean to serve God? That's a tough question. You need to be able to answer that in your own life. What does it look like in your life to serve God? What does it mean to give it up? You know? I put in a religious exemption. Right before I turned back, I was like, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to lie. Let me look back at the words. So I used the words of the book as my last line of defense.
Right.
In real life.
Yeah.
And so when you think about it, you're like, this is it. There's nothing that's better than these words. These are the best words.
Right.
So then I went back into the book and I start to read them, and I believe it. So how do you keep acting it out? How do you teach your family to act it out? How do you teach your neighbor to act it out better? You have to live it. It's an action. To worship is an action. So in our faith, we go to sacraments. So then I started to learn about what the sacraments are on a deep level based on the writers, the best writers of our faith. We have the best writers of all the writers. We have the best ones. St. Augustine, Thomas Aquinas. These guys went deep. They studied other like he took Aristotle and he mixed it with Christianity so it could help the secular mind understand better. It's like a bridge. He helped bridge Aristotle to Jesus, like I bridged Epictetus to Jesus in my own mind. I would like to do that. Epictetus is the Stoic I like best. His I don't know if you ever read his.
I didn't read
fragments.
his. No, no, no.
He's fantastic. He's my favorite. You want to skip you want to skip Aurelius. Aurelius, go straight to the source. Epictetus was one of his main guys that he learned from. But Jesus is the number one. And the reason he's number one is because love is number one. Charity. What is a charity? Unearned a gift. You could give an unearned gift to people. So that's why I hate deserve. Deserve implies
that makes total sense.
Yeah, it implies you're entitled to something. You ain't entitled to nothing. You should be grateful for what you got. You already got too much. That's how I feel. I already got too much. Everything I get from here on out is gravy. I remember, if you remember in high school, I almost died getting hit with the baseball.
Oh, hell. Oh, shit. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
It's a freak accident. 20 minutes. They said 20 minutes. If they would have got to the hospital 20 minutes later, I wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
My brain, it was bleeding into my brain and it was just going to shut it off. I was going to be done. So I see every year after 16, every day after 16, every hour is a gift. So I'm trying to do what I can with it. I'm trying to copy the people. Why am I a fireman? I'm trying to copy the people I respected and loved and trusted and idolized the most.
Yeah. That all makes total sense. Thanks for answering it too. I know you talk about this on your podcast, but it is deep stuff. Yeah, and I was thinking that when you were talking about the independence, right? And independence is all about control. Feeling independent is all about controlling, and I'm with you. It's definitely a futile game, right? Because we live in chaos. And if you keep thinking out through that chaos, where do you get? You could just get that we're all on this planet that the sun's going to go away eventually anyway, right? And you can't control that. So if you are all about control, the ultimate goal of everything, what are we doing here? What is the purpose of all of this? Well, it could burn out, right? So I see what you're saying, right? Like if you're focused on independence, it's a fool's game, right? But dependence is current. It's here now, and it's dealing with that chaos that's coming through. And I guess what I'm hearing through what you're saying is that the words in the Bible, the message of Jesus and the message of the actions and the implications of what he said give you something to depend on besides just that the sun's going to burn out, right? It gives you something to feel hope. Both in the current, it gives you hope in the current time, but then that gives you also enough bravery to put yourself out there and to not be independent, but to depend on someone else to do something greater than what you could do by yourself. Does that make sense?
It's a gift. Yeah, it's a gift to depend on somebody. You should ask people for help. That's a gift. They like to help you. If they could. When you ask somebody for help that you trust and love, they would love to do it for you. That's a gift to them. If you don't ask them for help and you constantly do it yourself, you're removing that gift from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Doesn't it take having kids to realize that a little bit with your parents sometimes? You know?
Having a kids has been a roller coaster ride with my parents. You know, you start to see like what they did wrong and you really focus in on it because you can really, I would never do it that way. And then you don't realize you're doing stuff wrong that their kids are going to say about you. It's easy to point fingers at what they did wrong in retrospect, you know, but I know my parents, I can't speak for everybody's parents, but my parents for sure were doing the best they could in the emotional state, the spiritual state, you know, financial state of what they were. They tried their best. And they stuck it out for as long as they could until they broke it off. But I'm grateful for where I am. They're still a big part of my life. You know, my mom and my dad. I talk to my dad every day, and my mom's going to build onto the house to move back in with me. So, but my parents are a big part of my life, and I appreciate them.
Yeah, me too. And it did. It took kids for me to really appreciate them. I took them for granted a lot of the things they did. And yeah, it does. You go through that phase where I think having our first kid during COVID actually helped that a little bit. We were a little bit sheltered for a while and had a lot of reflective time. And by the time it was over, I was a little bit over those feelings a little bit, but they might come back. I mean, they don't, it's not all rosy. There's definitely stuff even now with the grandkids or whatever where I'm just like, why can't you just, not do that? It'd make it easier for everyone involved, But it is what it is, Again, we're all depending on each other, and I think that for me, actually, a big part of inspiration in the Bible, especially in the New Testament. I mean, not so much in the Old Testament. I love the Old Testament as well, but I don't see much forgiveness there. But the forgiveness aspect is huge.
There's forgiveness in there.
There is, but it's not. Nobody forgives like Jesus, right? Like, there's not. He really just.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, like to me, that's the huge point of the whole thing is that, despite whatever anybody does, he has such a strong moral ground that he holds to that nothing else really matters, right? And sometimes it's really powerful when you're going through something with people. But most of my struggles are interpersonal as well, so that's why I get that lens, right? I'm much more inspired by how he handles the that part of it than anything else.
I look at somebody like Job and I think, could I handle it? And I say no. Please don't make me Job.
No. Yeah, no.
Please don't do that to me.
Everybody likes to think they could be like Job,
No.
But but you're right. And that I very much resonate with it, and that's actually what's pulled me. I mean, my religious views have always been, they are what they are. I take I act as if it's all true for sure, because why
That's
wouldn't
good.
you? But I also just
wager.
Yeah, but I also love it. Like, I mean, I grew up with it, and I just have an affinity for reading that kind of stuff. So I definitely study.
When are you going to join the Knights of Columbus?
I don't know if I can. When our kids are older, maybe. Right now, I got a lot going on with the Cub Scouts. I'm putting all my leadership type organization effort into the Cub Scouts.
I'm going to hold you to it, though. Come on, all these old guys are going to die eventually. We got to get people our age to join.
I'd definitely be interested in doing it. Just I need to be done with probably in 5 years. 5 years from now.
I remember you said that. This is recorded. You better not edit that part out.
I won't edit it out. No. I see some value in that, for sure.
It's very, very valuable. That's charity, baby. You're doing charity with grown men that have done the time. I mean, some of these guys have been serving in the Knights for decades, since the 80s. They were there when it started,
Which is crazy, yeah.
My grandfather was part of it, so I get to talk to these guys. They met him. They worked alongside of him. So that part of it's nostalgia for me, but I've been... you don't have to be super involved. These guys would be grateful if you just showed up to the meetings. They'd be so happy. They love seeing young guys in there.
I would come to some meetings. I just have can't take anything on. But I can come and chat. I'm always down to chat.
And you give your membership dues every year, that's all they need.
Yeah. Because, I'm all about that. I think that people in our generation do need to get a little more involved with the community. It's easy to just do this and not do that.
Get out there and pick up trash on the highway with your buddies, your old buddies.
Yeah, well, that's what the Cub Scouts do.
Yeah, similar.
That's why I'm saying it is very similar, and they're struggling too. That's one of the things is it's like there's so much to do, and there's so much you can get out of it, and it's really whatever you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also like a grassroots thing to some extent, so it's really hard to get like people need to be told what to do, but you don't want to tell them what to do, and there's a lot going on there, and for me that's my nostalgia because I'm an Eagle Scout, right? So going back to it, I got a lot out of that as a kid.
That makes sense.
And now I feel like I got to put in, as long as my kid's interested in it, I'm going to put into it, but I try not to pressure.
No, that's good. You're bonding too. Yeah, I'm not bonding with my kids. This is my guy time.
It's guy time, but there are events and stuff that they're going to, that's actually what I would be more interested in contributing to is the
fish fry. You want to do the fish fry?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
can't now though, because I'd have to do it for Cubs. Like I'm already gonna have to do the picnic for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I get it.
But I do miss that. I mean, growing up, I had that at my church. We didn't have Knights of Columbus. I was Episcopal, but
Hmm.
there were old guys that planned all that kind of stuff, and it was fun. Um, but yeah, right now I'm mostly of just I'm just in my own little reading the Bible, writing songs, reflecting all that stuff, and then doing the Cub Scouts as my charity. But it's not really charity. That's like a selfish kind of charity a little bit, because your own kid gets the benefit.
Nah, it still counts.
I guess in any community thing, it is. They're always going to benefit from it. What have you been? What's been the favorite Bible stuff recently for you? What's your favorite book to read? Going on, I'm sure you go through phases, but
I really pick at parts now. I like to talk, like when I originally started with ChatGPT, it was philosophy, right? So I was a Stoic when it came out, and then it eventually pushed me to Jesus. So now I
yeah,
keep track of my quotes that resonate with me throughout the past few years, and then I'll write them down. Recently, I haven't been doing as much as I should. Um,
but you've been working on your book too.
yeah, I know. I still need to go back to it. I was just thinking about it. I had like so you get away with it. You get away from
Yeah,
it. It's so
yeah,
easy to just to get out of it, and you can't. You always have to go back and give thanks and remember what got you here by the exact words. Um,
yeah. This is true.
yeah, let's do it in real time. I want to find my quote of the day. That you mind if can I share the screen?
Sure. Yeah.
So this is my theological folder. I ask it to act like Saint Augustine a lot. So
Nice.
we were talking about being dependable. So I'm just gonna ask him. I use this too. I continue this conversation and pick the Bible verse in the New Testament that best describes the importance of being a dependable Christian, being a dependable man, and just dependability in general. Luke 16:10. He who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much, and he who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much. And that's like, yeah, getting the little things right. If you
Mm-hmm.
do these little charities for people, these little things, they add up. They add up, and then when the big things come, you're ready for them. You're more ready for them. You're sturdy. I think that's what putting the armor of God is like. It's getting these little, making sure to give thanks to God. I write a gratitude a day. I've been writing in my journal for 5 years. This is book number 10. I film
Hell yeah.
like
Nice.
I fill the whole page with the words. There's something like nice about it when the book's completely full. And it's
Yeah.
just what happened today. What are the highlights for today? And at the end of the day, the last sentence I write is a gratitude. I'm grateful for my wife because she did this. I'm grateful for Jesus for this. I'm grateful for my family being healthy. All that stuff. Even just that little practice. That you got 365 gratitudes if you do your page every day. And then some days I write more. And then some days I'm really grateful. Some days it was a great day. I rate my days too. I'm psycho. I'm keeping track of all of it.
No, I do
And this
that. I've been off of it since kids, but I used to do that a lot. So it's not psycho. It's just huge benefits to it to look back
Yeah,
at
I've
it.
been feeling them, and the guy said when I started, I follow this guy on Twitter. It's like once you start writing for in 5 years, you'll start to really see. And this is what's been
Oh
happening. Like
yeah.
we're almost up on the fifth year, and now I really do have more confidence in considering myself a writer. Even just these pages, I write pages on top of this, obviously, but
Yeah.
just those alone, I've written over 1,000 pages just about my life, the things that have happened that are important that I would have forgotten if I didn't write it down. And then sometimes you have the pictures attached with it. Oh, I took a cool picture of this today, or I took a
Mm-hmm.
funny video of this today. And then you could go, what was the date? And then it's in the phone already because I got the cloud. So it's like, I've just been documenting my life and trying to keep up with the technology. And I've been enjoying it. And I can't wait to share it with my daughters when they get older. I can't wait to share it with my
Yeah.
grandkids. I can't wait till maybe they figure out a way to augment it and interact with it.
You're lucky you have it in a book. So I've been journaling for like 10 years, but when the kids were born, it became much more sparse. It's more not because of the kids, it's more because of COVID. Because I used to commute into the city every day, so that gave me two chances on the train, which was like an hour long, to sit down and write the journal. And sometimes I'd do it both times. So in the morning, I'd write down what I, did already that day or what I wanted to. And then at night, I just had to, like, at work, maybe you had more action. It's usually writing code. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. If there's some workplace drama or something, I'd think it out maybe. But then I could get really reflective on stuff. And that's where I wrote a lot of songs, even. It started in the journal. But mine is all on the computer, which has benefits. But the non-benefit of it is someone needs to know where to find all that stuff. So I actually do want to go back and print it all out and put it like in a binder somewhere at some point. Pretty much soon. I switched over the books for that reason, though. But what was sick about it on my computer was after a year, I was like, oh, I wrote journals for a year, and each one has like the date as the name. So I wrote a program that would, every time I opened up the old, or I like wrote like make a new template or whatever, and before I did that, it would pull up a random old one from that day a year before, and I could read it and see where I was and see where I was struggling at, and that stuff was like almost always resolved. And it started to give me this confidence. So I started writing like in 1 year so at the top of every entry I'd put that, and then in 10 years and I started just like making goals for not just for myself. It could be like 10 years from now I like have a better relationship with my mom or whatever it, like it could just be something like that. And just as time went by, you just start like reading these things, and they really, on a bad day, they catch you by surprise sometimes, and you're like, oh, that was actually a bad day. Usually it's a bad day where you get a worse day. That would pop up from like 3 years ago where you're like, this is fine. This is no big deal. You get that one where you got hit in the head with the baseball day entry.
Yeah, I didn't do it back then. I've only been doing it.
I know, yeah.
But
I'm big on it.
What I started with is what pushed me over the edge. I've heard many people did journals, but I listened to Derek Jeter. He said he started journaling his last year of baseball. His final year, he knew it was going to be it, and he journaled every game. And he's like, nice. I wish I would have did this my whole career. What a mistake.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I already made the mistake from that part of my life. Let's start now. I'm just going to keep doing it until I don't do it. And so far, so good. Nice. I haven't missed a day.
And then you're going to feel bad when you get to be like me, where I'm like, I missed 4 years and my kids are,
do it. Just do it.
I do it, but then I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then I'll do it for like 3 or 4 days. I'll forget. And then I go back and then I'm like, oh, so much has happened. I should update all that. And then it gets to be too much. I go on and off with it. I still do write. But again, before we started recording, if anyone is, but people might still listen. But, we were talking about Obsidian. So once I started using Obsidian, I stopped using just like my own thing that I was using, just like the text editor and the programs I was writing. And Obsidian, like I was studying how people take notes in there, and they're really into these like short little notes that you can like group together. So I still take like 20 or 30 of those a day, but they're just already... They're almost like ChatGPT threads, but you feel like they're lost. It's not like this was my day. You're never going to be like, I had tacos for lunch today. But in my journal, I might say that.
Yeah, I write that.
Yeah.
I write what I eat. Everything I eat for the day.
For sure. I would write what song I was listening to at the time. Like, it's just like nostalgia.
Yeah, I write down podcasts. Oh, I listened to a good podcast today. For
sure, yeah. It becomes a really good resource. Yeah, I love doing journaling. I miss that.
Do it. You're going to do it.
Yeah, I can easily get back into it. The big thing is I do want to import my old journal into the new one and then print all that out and put it somewhere. And that would be pretty cool. What else we got? Let me make sure I touched everything I wanted to say to you. Is there anything that's going through your mind right now that you didn't talk about?
I just wrote a little thing today. I didn't release this yet. I made an adjustment based on the feedback. Yeah. So I thought I'd just read this for you. I guess I'll put you on the screen too here. And this goes into the end of the era.
I forgot you said that.
That's all right. You can clip it.
We'll do a clip of this for sure.
So the whole book is about the horse-drawn era. So this part here is just a snippet of they were talking about it in the article coming to a close. This is the last 10 years. I think this article came out 10 years before the last horse was on pulling fire engines. So, for a long time, the horse remained the standard against which every new machine was measured. Firemen lived alongside them. They fed them, groomed them, and listened to their breathing in the quiet hours between alarms. Trust had been established through years of repetition. That reliability created attachment. A fireman's love for his horse was personal. Quote, to begin with, every fireman loves the horse. He caresses his Matt, his Bob, his Dick, and his Harry of his respective firehouse with a tenderness that might be extended to a member of his own family. Why? They're the object of all his affection during the long hours spent at the firehouse between alarms. Close quote. Names mattered. Horses were not spoken of by number or purchase date. They were known individually, recognized by temperament, stride, and the way each animal responded when the gong struck. Some were eager and restless, stamping before the stall doors had fully opened. Others were steadier, lowering their heads into the harness as if they understood the work waited outside. When the horse settled into its evening rhythm, the firehouse slowed but never truly rested. Lamps were lit, chairs were drawn, boots were set aside within reach. Some men read newspapers or played cards. Others polished bits of brass or leather, or simply sat smoking pipes while listening for any change in the house. And as always, just behind the living space were the stalls. The horses shifted their weight, stamped once or twice, and blew softly through their nostrils. Firemen drifted in and out almost without thinking. A hand rested on the neck, a brush ran over a flank that did not need it, a leg was checked that had already been checked. These were quiet habits formed by long hours in the same house. The routine of care was constant. Horses were watched on schedule, their feed measured carefully to balance strength with endurance. Harness leather was inspected daily. Hooves were cleaned and watched for cracks or tenderness. Even small irregularities were noticed quickly because the men saw the animals every hour of the day. Records described grooming routines and feeding schedules, but they do not capture the smaller exchanges. A horse that had pulled hard that afternoon might receive an extra look, an extra rub behind the ear. In the winter, blankets were adjusted carefully. In summer, water was offered more often than required. The men understood the limits of the animals because they noticed changes before they became problems. Their relationship with the horses was as practical as it was sentimental. A fire company depended on its horses the way it depended on its driver or its engine. When the alarm sounded, the entire response began with them. If the horses were steady, the apparatus moved. If the apparatus moved, the company could go to work. That reality shaped the bond. The public saw speed and spectacle when the apparatus burst from the doors and thundered down the street. What they did not see was the hours that made those moments possible. The horse knew the path from the stall to the harness. The men knew the animal's strength and temperament. Each trusted the other to perform when the bell struck. For years, that partnership carried the department through its alarms. In those evening hours, the bell could sound at any moment, and when it did, the horses answered without hesitation. That certainty shaped how the men understood their work and their identity. To remove them would not simply be a change in equipment, it would alter the character of the department itself. Quote, and to rule them out of firefighting service altogether? Never. Why, that would wreck the pride of the department itself. Close quote. And that was the argument they were having when they first mentioned it. They were like, how could you get rid of the horses? That's the department.
Right.
That's like getting rid of the firemen.
Right. I love that. I actually think that I mean, you're going to do whatever you find best, but given all of that, like, I wonder if you should even introduce the horses before anything in the final book, because they are just as central, right? Like,
I'm trying to convince my dad. He really wants to talk about the firemen.
yeah. No, but the horses are, and also, so I don't know if you know this, but you wouldn't know this, but my neighbors behind me had horses when I grew up. And one of my first jobs, I had a few first jobs, but one of them was feeding them on the weekend when they went down. They had like a shore house, and something that always sparks my like nostalgia now is the smell. So you should definitely include that in there because they would notice that too. Maybe not yet to what you were saying, but that I just can't imagine when they're taking all of those horses out and the stalls are gone, you don't smell the hay or like even just the horse shit anymore, the food. So that would change the whole characteristic when you walk into a space. Like it wouldn't even smell like the stables are there anymore. But yeah, I love
That's true now too. When I walk into a firehouse, it has a certain smell. I mean, especially the fire truck. I could tell if they had a fire the night before just by how the fire truck smells.
Yeah, it's got to be on everything, right? In the truck, on the clothes. I never thought about that. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. The smell's key because you hit all the other senses, and I like that.
Right. Thank you for that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was the part that the guy said was my best work in the assessment.
I really like it. I think I have different. I liked the Custer part, but that had a lot of quotes in it too.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
that was just like I didn't expect that. It was a big surprise to me, and it really made me feel like I could, understand not even just any of them, but it really painted the picture of like who these people are, and that their background could have even been crazier than the fires that they're fighting.
Yeah, right.
Um, I have something I want to show you too, and then we can wrap up. Have you ever seen? Since we're talking Bible, I thought it would come up. But I have this as a prized possession because I listen to it all the time and I want it to be found if I am ever not around anymore. This is my go-to. Johnny Cash reads the New Testament. Should get a copy of it.
I don't like Johnny Cash. Sorry.
You don't like Johnny Cash?
I don't like his voice.
Oh.
I can't help it.
Well, if you don't like his voice, you wouldn't like it. But I do like Johnny Cash, and there's no better reader for me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You like about his voice?
Sorry. I don't know.
No, you're good.
It's
you
like,
can have
it's
your
like
opinion.
Weezer. It's like Weezer. I hate Weezer, but there's like 5 songs that I really like by Weezer.
Yeah.
No, Johnny Cash. I don't know.
I used to not like him. My initial reason I didn't like Johnny Cash was because his music was too violent. Like, as a younger kid, I just didn't think he was a good guy. But that actually is the reason I like him now, because his life had, like, a pretty good transformation. And he did actually become pretty religious. So it is cool to hear him read the New Testament. But if you don't like his
Johnny
voice,
Cash
you won't like it.
I like him as a person. I like his story. I watched the movie with what's his name?
Oh, I never
Joaquin
saw that
Phoenix.
movie. I know what you're talking about, though.
It was a good movie. I like that a lot. I just don't like his voice.
Yeah,
and that's one of the main things.
Then you won't like him reading the New Testament. Yeah,
well, reading and singing is different. Like, when I listen to music, I like to sing. It's fun to sing, and certain things are really fun to sing. Like the Counting Crows original album is really fun to sing. All the songs are way different, and you do stuff with your voice that you don't normally do, and it's within my range, my little vocal range to sing it, and it's fun. Johnny Cash, I would not want to sing that. I just don't enjoy singing. I'd rather sing anything else.
Right, and that's fair. Everybody likes their different stuff.
And the words mean the least to me, like what he's actually saying. Like, that's why I was listening to the emo musical back in the day.
Yeah.
It was the emotions. Like, those guys really captured the emotions well. Like, the bands I listened to, you could tell they went through something with a girl. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a girlfriend back then, so I was like, these guys talk to girls, and they write about them. And I want to feel what that emotion is because I don't even get to interact with them. So it was like my way to do it. But that was not a good thing. I should have been listening to more Jesus music. More hymns.
Johnny Cash. But you should listen to the words of some.
No,
of
you know
that
what?
stuff.
No, I'm saying they're last on my list. Incubus is one of those things where I realized way later, like, wait, what are these guys singing about? Oh, this is actually really positive. I should have been listening to Incubus.
Incubus is good. Yeah.
If I ever get to where I'm going, will I even know if I'm there? I will.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a that's what my favorite Incubus song is. I will know. I'm not only am I going to make it, I'm going to know when I'm there. It's not just going to be there by accident, or it's not just going to be fleeting. Like, I know where I'm going, and I'm going to get there. It's a very positive message.
A lot of their songs are. I love Incubus. But yeah, you should. There is some really good. You could call it Jesus music, but I think that actually undercuts it. It's. I like a lot of religious music. There's like a lot of the Southern spiritual music is really good. A lot of the early country music is really good with like the religious stuff. That's where it all came from. Like Dizzy Gillespie, the jazz bebop trombone player, the trumpet player. I mean, he literally grew up in like a sanctified singer church where they would like have the guy who sings and reads the Bible at the same time. That's like the heart of American music. Came from church. So you should listen to that shit at the very least.
I was listening to Gregorian chant and Catholic lo-fi.
Yeah, Gregorian chants are okay, but if you want to get in, you should look up the you want sacred harp singers. That's this other thing.
Sacred Hearts.
This is always out. But if you look at Harry Smith's Anthology of American Folk Music has, well, it was on LPs originally, but it looks like this. This is like my musical Bible. I know every song on here by heart. And the Bible part of it is disc 2B. That's all like Southern church music. But
Okay.
the sacred harp singers are kind of like Gregorian chant, but it's much more alive and a little bit less it's just like a little bit less
What's in
orthodox.
English, right?
It's in English, but it's definitely in English. And
I'm saying the Gregorian chants are all in Latin.
it's kind of like a Gregorian chant, but done by like people that play banjos after church.
Oh,
type
you know
of
who
thing.
I listened to? This is the most recent thing I listened to. Oh man, what was it called? I have it on my Amazon. Mysteries. What was it? Mysteries of Medicine. It was like it's by a monk, not a monk, a friar.
A friar.
It's
See, I haven't listened to much
Dominican.
friar music. That's cool. Who?
Hold on, 1 second.
Yeah.
Brother Isaiah and J.J. Wright. Before the mystery. Hold on. What's the name of the album? Oh, Mysteries and Medicines by Brother Isaiah. I listened to this whole album. It's really good.
Yeah?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's go to the great YouTube. I'm saying you sing this out loud. You know, you love me, God. Yes, you love me. You know, that's the kind
Yeah,
of
well,
music
that's
you should
that
sing
music
out loud.
nutrition, right? Like, it's what you're singing. Like, that. Well, that's how that came up before. Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And if you dig that kind of stuff, you should, it's the same thing as, like, going back to the source. You should go back. You would dig the source. You should check out that disc, too. Like, there's, like, a lot of them are, like, old, same thing, like preachers from back then. Like there's, I forget half the artists' names. When I'm listening to this a lot, I know the songs like the back of my hand, but I forget them right now. Like you got a pretty good song is "Dry Bones" by Bascom Lamar Lunsford. You would like that, but honestly, "John the Baptist" by Reverend Moses Mason is a dope song. It's dusty. All of these songs are dusty because they got rid of the masters, like the steel Master 78s back in the 20s or whatever, that they made. They got rid of them during World War I. A lot of them, they melted them down to turn them into like bullets and stuff, which is really unfortunate. So that's why a lot of those old records actually sound super dusty, because they took them off of just like they might just find like one copy of it. But that song, John the Baptist, is pretty cool because, like you'll see how they do it. They paint like a character for you, and you get like a pretty good mental lens, almost like your book does for good old you say it, I forgot, Bob.
Daredevil Bob.
Daredevil Bob. Yeah. He needs a song. I'll write him a song. He needs a Daredevil Bob's Blues or something. But yeah, they give you like, it gives you such a good vibe of like what they. And it's different than what you would think from what you hear in contemporary times. You get like a pretty good idea of how those people were thinking about religion back then. You got to remember too, like one of the things that tripped me out with, not really blues. People conflate blues with like actually in the American South. From what I read, I mean, I didn't grow up then or have any roots there or anything, but they pretty much like you were like celebrated if you played the religious stuff and frowned upon if you played the blues. A lot of people played both, but you do have those two elements in the same like actual neighborhood and sound. So that, I mean, that's represented on this album. But when you're talking about the religious side of it, like it's pretty crazy because there's all these songs about like Noah's flood, right? Like that's a pretty popular trope in America in these Southern gospel songs. And then you find out that like in that same year there actually was a huge flood that was like the same size as like Hurricane Katrina or something like that. I don't know if it was actually that size, but
Sure.
like back then it was bad, right? And it's like actually, it's pretty crazy because that's where like reality crossed with the story. So when they're singing about, the flood, like they're singing about both. They're singing about a real flood and they're singing about Noah or whatever, which is pretty cool. Anyway, that was a good tangent too. You want to wrap it up? You want to tell
Yeah,
people where to find you?
Yes. So the best place to find me is on YouTube, Eddie Wilson channel, if you want to see my long form stuff. Instagram, I guess I'm gonna be coming back. Right now, it's all jiu-jitsu videos, but eventually, it's gonna be podcast clips and maybe pictures of newspaper clippings that we use. What's my Instagram? Now I have to find it. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, you can find it. I'll also, while you're looking it up, I'll put all of this stuff in the show notes.
Sure.
So
my Instagram is Sweaty Eddie BJJ because that's my nickname.
yeah.
But that's what I'm going to be posting on my Instagram stuff. And then Substack, Chronicles of Newark. That's anybody that's interested in the book writing process. I still got a long way to go. My goal was to finish the book by the end of the year. That's going to be tough. I'm going to have to be diligent and consistent, and I'm going to need lots of encouragement from people, or else I just get down on myself and then I take a break or quit.
Yeah, and you're posting PDFs, at least as of now, of your progress, so people should subscribe so that
true. Also, I'm going to be posting the full assessment of what my editor wrote, and then I'm going to write my analysis of it, and then I'm going to just keep plugging away on the next pages, the characters, adjusting all the stuff he said, and it's all going to be done hopefully a little bit at a time.
Sweet. Yeah, and definitely follow, and it's a good read. Thanks for coming on, Eddie.
I enjoyed talking to you. This is fun.
I hope I broke you with the timing. That's always my goal. To make you feel like you've been here for more than long enough. So, but you are a seasoned podcaster, so I might not break you. Yeah. But yeah, it's always been a pleasure. Hopefully we do this again soon. If you're feeling the itch, just reach out for sure. And thanks for listening.
I can have you on mine. I don't have to talk about my book. I would like to talk about music.
Sure. Oh, yeah, I was going to say that before we recorded. Yeah, we should do that. I think it'd fit well on your podcast. We should definitely do like a religious music exploration.
I would like to go over what you just said, that whole album, and
right.
I'll listen to it first and tell you what I take from it and get out of it.
I'll send you some stuff. Yeah, I'll send you that album. That album is we'll talk about it. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm going to hit stop now, but we'll catch you next time.